What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Clash Royale video. Now today's video is going to be a little bit different and a little bit shorter because we're going to go over the brand new balance update in Clash Royale. The balance update is not live yet, but they just announced it through our inboxes, so I wrote down everything that they said in the inbox so I can talk to you guys about it right here and go over the cards that they mentioned. As you all know, Clash Royale likes to do balance changes every now and then, usually every month or maybe every other month, just to make sure no cards are getting too overpowered and just to keep the game as even as possible. Some of these balance changes I agree with and some of them I don't, so you guys are going to see my reaction to these in just a few minutes. I did write them down like I said, so I'm going to start off at the top of my list. First off, the Royal Giant's attack speed is decreased from 1.5 seconds to 1.7 seconds. That's all they did to the Royal Giant. That's it. 1.5 to 1.7. That is not a nerf. 0.2 second attack speed does absolutely nothing. That's like letting him get off 6 shots instead of 7 every like 10 seconds or whatever. That's absolutely not a nerf. This is already making me mad. Hopefully this balance change is a little bit better down the list, but Supercell, you guys are idiots. This is not a nerf. This is not what the Royal Giant needed. I'm just going to shut up before I keep ranting. Next up on my list is the zap, and the stun duration is decreased to 0.5 second from 1 second, and I'm not sure how I feel about this because the zap is one of my favorite cards, but I don't think half a second is going to make that much of a difference. It's still a stun nonetheless, and it still does the same amount of damage, so I don't think that'll be too big of an issue, but they did have to nerf it somehow. Next up on my list is the princess. Where is my princess at? Here she is. She's getting nerfed. Her area damage radius is going to decrease by 25%. So she still has the same range. She can still shoot from across the bridge, but her area damage radius is decreased by 25%. That's not too big of a nerf. I'm not sure how much it's going to affect her, but hopefully it does nerf her just a little bit because she can be kind of overpowered if used in the right deck. Next up, we have the Ice Wizard, and his hit points are going to be decreased by 5%. So my level 1 Ice Wizard is going to lose about 35 hit points-ish. That's just rough math off the top of my head. So he'll have between 660 and like 690 hit points, something like that. Obviously, it's not too big of a nerf. He still has the same attack speed and the same damage. Next up is the Miner, which we all knew was getting a nerf this update because the Miner is pretty overpowered. They went ahead and increased his deploy time from 0.7 seconds to 1 second. So a third of a second, not too big of a deal. Hit points also decreased by 6%. Once again, that's also not that big of a deal. Basically, he just loses a little bit more hit points, which honestly won't do that much. Next up, we have the Baby Dragon, which really needed a buff because this card is honestly not used enough. I was actually thinking about this the other day when I was rating on my mini account. I do have the Baby Dragon on my level 1 account, and I was actually thinking that it does need a buff. So the hit speed will be increased to 1.6 seconds from 1.8 seconds. So a fifth of a second faster attack speed. Not sure how much that's going to do. Maybe that 0.2 seconds might make it a little bit faster, but I thought it needed at least a damage increase or a hit points increase. Next up, we have the Dark Prince, which also needed a buff because he does absolutely no damage at all. They're increasing his damage by 7.5%. He also does splash damage, so that's kind of why his damage is a little bit lower. But a 7.5 damage increase to the Dark Prince might bring back the double Prince attack strategy. Next up, we have the Bowler, and this is a little bit of a tricky nerf right here because I honestly can't even tell if they're like nerfing him or buffing him. They're decreasing his elixir cost from 6 to 5 elixir, but they're also decreasing his hit points and his damage. His hit points are going to be decreased by 7% and his damage is going to be decreased by 10%. So they did knock down some of his elixir costs, but I honestly thought he didn't do that much damage to begin with, and he didn't have that much health either. He's definitely been an underused card since he came out, and now they're making him even weaker, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Next up, we have the Lumberjack, and I can't actually show you his card unless I go ahead and find when he's unlocked. So here's the Lumberjack, and they're trying to buff him in this balance change. They're increasing his speed from fast to very fast. His hit speed is going to be increased from 1.1 seconds to 0.7 seconds, but his damage is going to be decreased by 23%. He's basically just a walking rage spell, but he did do a lot of damage. I was actually surprised when he made it to my towers in certain battles and did so much damage, so I guess he does need a damage decrease, but they're also increasing his attack speed and his actual speed. Next up, we have the Log, which really needs a buff. I have the Log, and I don't think I've actually used it in a legitimate deck. I don't see a point in it because I do like the zap spell a lot, but now that the Log is getting a buff and the zap is getting a nerf, maybe we'll see it used more often. The cast time is going to be decreased by 66%, and its travel speed is going to be increased by 20%. So that's going to give the Log a lot faster of a deployment time. I honestly thought it needed like a stun effect or maybe the range increase, but hopefully this gives the Log a little bit more love and makes it a little bit better. Next up, we have the Golem, and his damage is going to increase by 5%. His hit points is also going to increase by 1%, which I guess is like a mini little buff, but it's not doing much. And the Golemites are also going to get a buff with a damage increase of 8% and a hit points increase of 3.2%. The P.E.K.K.A. is also getting a buff, which is going to be a damage increase by 5%, and that's all they're doing to the P.E.K.K.A. And the last thing that's going to be affected is the Tombstone. The Tombstone spawn speed is going to increase from 2.9 seconds to 2.5 seconds. So that's going to be it for the upcoming balance changes in Clash Royale. Let me know your opinions on them down in the comment section below. I like some of the buffs they made, like to the Baby Dragon, the Dark Prince, the Log, but the Royal Giant definitely needed a massive nerf, and they basically just slapped us in the face right here. Honestly, a 0.2 second hit speed decrease is nothing. That's literally them laughing in our faces. I just really thought the Royal Giant needed a much bigger nerf, and they're doing absolutely nothing about it. But that's going to be it for me today. Make sure you guys do comment down in the comment section below your opinions on this balance change coming to Clash Royale. Let me know what you wanted to see nerfed and what you wanted to see buffed. Let me know if you're excited about any of these changes. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you guys did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new for more Clash Royale content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.